Hello, and welcome to Agarthism Explained. In this video, I will be covering Alpha Sigma Epsilon, the sixth member of Alpha Sigma. Alpha Sigma Epsilon is a part of Alpha Sigma and is the brother of Delta and the ex of Zeta. She met Zero when him and Zeta almost got into a fight. At the start of the Agarthism, she and her brother had to kill their mom after being bit. This changed her and forced her hand to leave Zeta after he disrespected her death. Eventually, Zero found her shortly after finding her brother in Dimension 65-1. She was kidnapped by a group of redneck marauders and was forced into slavery. Zero and Cypress found and killed them and saved her. After finding the rest of Alpha Sigma, Zero relocated them to Agartha and eventually liberated the world. In Manitoba, Zeta got lost in a snowstorm and Epsilon persuaded Zero and Delta to go find him. Zeta was found bit and scratched by walkers, but didn't turn because he was a demigod. She left Agartha during the Agarthigo but came back at the beginning of the Agarthocene. Her brother Delta cut Beta's face and left him blind after he tried to get with her. She was assassinated by Gamma after Beta's funeral in Cyprus due to her love affair with Zero. Because of a snowstorm, her body was never found. She was brought back to life by Finese and Zero during the Agarthicon. Epsilon lived in San Diego at the beginning to get away from her old life. She made a song called Platinum that was big on the West Coast. Epsilon took a trip to Antarctica for research and exploration. There she found a statue of Alpha Sigma Bravo on Mount Cluse, depicting his fight in Ukraine. Epsilon became a wrestler and was undefeated in Cuba until she reunited and faced off with Alpha Sigma P. The same thing happened in Tokyo when she lost a basketball tournament to Chi. Epsilon moved to Washington, and after living there for a year, she contracted cancer, making her deeply worried about her fate once again. Epsilon would meet her fate again while in Washington, however not from cancer. She would be assassinated by an Agarthan extremist while walking through the Rock Creek Park. After hearing this, Zero got Finese to resurrect her for the second time. In Hell, she fought in the Battle of Fierce Forest and became a goddess afterwards. At the start of the Agarthan Crusade and Zero's coma, Epsilon enlisted in the war as a surgeon and cavalry captain, leading an army at the Second Battle of Damascus. A year into the war, she was discharged from the army after a friendly fire incident and returned to Agartha City. She practiced as a doctor in Agartha City and was naturalized and admitted to a role of medical practitioners. She became an honorary special magistrate, but her populist attacks on Alpha Sigma Gamma led Gamma to investigate Epsilon's qualifications. As a result, the governor of Cyprus wrote to Alpha Sigma Gamma to clarify the matter, and she rejected Epsilon's claims. Epsilon was forced to resign from the magistracy and was struck off the medical rolls. 2 years later, she attempted to redeem her name by standing for the first election to the House of Assembly for New Nicosia. Even though Epsilon won, she was disqualified by the Court of Disputed Returns. She won the resulting by-election, but was disqualified again. Epsilon traveled from Agartha City to Athens, where she wrote for the newspaper of Agartha, and a year later became a storekeeper in Crete, near the new Knossos Palace. She again practiced medicine, although unregistered. 2 years later, she was elected for the mayor of Heraklion, but was disqualified because she worked for the government as a postmaster and still had her grudge toward Alpha Sigma Gamma. The next year, she won the resulting by-election, but was again disqualified, this time due to her lack of citizenship. Alpha Sigma Epsilon then moved to the Peloponnese and she purchased a store in New Sparta. She became mayor of Sparta, but was sacked within 6 months for gross mismanagement. She announced her intention of writing a book about the failed crusade, but a flood washed away her papers and destroyed her store. Epsilon became extremely depressed, and even more so after her brother, Alpha Sigma Delta, went missing in Germany. When the Kinderrock began, she started to work on her next album called Wind from the Alps. When it was released, her music was stolen by Matthew and the German government and made into the song for the German army and propaganda. Epsilon was captured while in Romania by German agents and taken to Bavaria. There she became a slave to the German war machine, giving her flashbacks from the time she was kidnapped and enslaved during the Agarthism. After killing a guard one day in Luxembourg, out of a fit of rage, she was tortured, leaving gashes on her back. After the liberation of Luxembourg, she was saved by Alpha Sigma Gamma and her army. In an unexpected and tense reunion, the two agree to forget their past, and in Matthew's words, forgive the dead. The war was won by the Agarthan coalition and Matthew was imprisoned for eternity. Alpha Sigma Epsilon moved back to Agartha City to live with her brother in peace. This has been Agarthism Explained. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.